or evening or morning, or depending on where you are. And welcome back to this Asia OD Network Summit on integrating OD, HR, and change management strategies for sustained success. My name is Christoph Horvath, and I'll be your moderator for this first afternoon session. I'm an OD practitioner and PhD OD doctoral student with Assumption University in Bangkok, like some others among you, and I'm based in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Now, I have the honor and delight to introduce to you our next presenter, Ms. Ma from Hong Kong. Ms. Suprince Ma has 25 years of HR leadership experience in China, the Asia Pacific, and internationally. She's a change agent, leading organizations in strategic HR management, leadership development, organization development, and change management. With both China and international working experience and very familiar with the cultural differences between East and West, Ms. Ma has a proven track record in integrating the global best practice of HR management and organization development with Chinese and Asian culture. And last but not least relevant here, of course, as many of you will know, Ms. Ma is also a co-founder of the China OD Network. Today, Ms. Ma will be discussing integrating strategic HR management and OD in China. Over to you, Ms. Ma.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome back for our OD forum online. It's my pleasure to share with all of you in this coming session to integrate strategic HR management and OD in China. Well, before I talk about how we can do it, I would also like to spend time to explain what does it mean by integrating strategic HR management and OD. And then after that, I would also share how we can do it. I will provide a couple specific examples that can help you if you want to understand how we can implement and apply those techniques and tools and processes in a real life. If we recall in the morning that Professor William Rothwell explained a traditional HR role and how to transform HR into OD, and he made the example of in the United States what a traditional HR role would look like. Well, in my session, I would like to put into the perspective of how an HR role would look like in China, using my personal story and my personal experience. It may look different than what William shared in the morning, but the beauty of a forum is that we can listen to and we can hear different perspectives, and therefore we can have stimulate our own thinking and decide our own point of view, how we should connect the two. I try to not use the word transform HR to OD because that sounds like HR is a lower class and OD is a higher class. In my experience, they are not one superior than the other, but they are in reality, they're both important, and they can be interconnected and they could be integrated and to work together beautifully. So to start with that, and as Chris explained, I have 25 years of experience, and let me share with you my first 18 years experience. I mean, I joined multinational companies in China as a management trainee right after my graduation from university. And then ever since then, I have carried all the HR titles. I mean, you can count it: HR managers, HR business partner, and then HR head and HR directors. They all carry the word HR in my title. So I would position myself as an HR professional, at least in the first 18 years. There are many times that I got the experience in doing some interesting business change or people change or organization change projects that would include restructuring 7 retail joint ventures in China and build a new integrated one. And also experiencing downsizing a big organization in China, cutting the workforce by close to 50%. and there is a major layoff at that point of time. And then we did a lot of change management in helping people manage through the outplacement process smoothly. And then there was another time when the business is doing business outsourcing. Then I was supporting the business to do the employment transfer, and then we facilitated employment transfer for 600 employees due to the business outsourcing. A lot of changes and a lot of the people issues that we managed to do, and eventually everything got very smoothly migrate to the new business model. And then there was also a time when the business was tough in one of the companies I work in China years ago. And then in order to turn around the business result, and then we instill winning culture, and we try to do a lot of the cultural change together with the business strategy change to turn around the business. And then I also got the chance to be working on a major merger and acquisition project where one of the multinational companies and one of the major Chinese local companies, and they merge and form a new joint venture. So, and I was working on that project at providing the HR due diligence, designing the new HR systems and policies and processes and everything to set up a new companies, and as well as integrate the culture from the two parent companies to form a new joint venture. And then I also got the chance to work in London, where I headed the global skill pool management, where we decided what is the staffing strategy to locate a certain skill pool to cope with the business growth. And then we also define what is the roles of those skill pool and how did those roles interface with each other. What would be the development guideline? What is the supply and demand planning for those skill pools? And as well as how can we embed diversity and inclusiveness in global talent management? So this is just some of the example of my HR experience highlight. And from that, and as I said, all I've been doing that, I carry the title with HR. So, but when you look into this nowadays, and also when I look into this, did I do an HR job or did I do an OD job? In my first 18 years, I never heard about the word OD. I've been busy in doing HR. So at that point of time, I thought I was doing an HR job. But if nowadays, when I look back, I realized that there were a lot of the work I did in those days have a very big component from OD, but I just didn't know it. Similar to many HR professionals in China, we are doing a lot of the strategic HR works that have the OD components, but we may not be aware that that is OD. When OD came into China, it came across as a completely new thing. And people may have different perception about OD in China because of it's a new thing, and also because people are not aware that what they've been doing, in fact, is part of OD. So, and that's why it's important that we start to look into this from a Chinese perspective. And probably the experience in China could be similar to many countries in Asia because we share that curve of developing the economics and developing the industry or the HR profession on the ground. Well, let me continue my story. Then 7 years ago, I started my AODN change director role responsible for Asia Pacific region in one of the multinational companies. And luckily or unluckily, there was not a job description provided to me when I onboarded the role. And well, I see it as an opportunity because then I think, wow, I got the chance to shape how I want the job to be. So with the two questions in my mind, first, I got to quickly understand what is organization development, because that is the title I would carry. And what is the difference of this OD with the previous HR role I did, right? So I need to quickly get the clarity on what is OD. Then the second question in my mind is that how should I scope my role as heading the OD and change director for Asia Pacific region? So what I did is that I did a lot of research on the internet. Thanks for the internet, I can search keywords and what is OD, what is change management, and I tried to be like a self-study about figure out what is OD. And then I also interview with the key stakeholders in the organization and ask them what is the expectation from them in my role and what do they want me to bring to the organization. And last but not the least, I tried a little bit of the business tool, like conduct a SWOT analysis about the organization that I am responsible for, and trying to see where are the opportunities and the strength of the organization that we can pursue, and what could be the other threats or weakness that we need to mitigate or we need to address. So as with that processes, and as a result, I created my first draft of OD framework. I call it OD framework because at that point of time, I carry a title of OD. Well, if I carry a title of HR, then I may say this is my first draft of strategic HR framework. But anyway, let's put aside the name first. I mean, let's talk about the content. The content is the most important, and that is the practicality that the business want, right? So let's don't argue, shall we call it HR or shall we call it OD or what shall we call it? It doesn't matter. It is what do we do is most important, and do we create value to the organization? That is the most important thing. So now come back to my story. That was my first OD framework that I created. And basically, I put into 4 components: is helping the organization to create the vision of how they would like to be success, and then also helping the organization to build the infrastructure and the capability. The infrastructure and the capabilities is a little bit like the hardware and the software of an organization to enable that vision to be able to happening. And last but not the least is the engagement piece. The engagement piece is beyond the hardware and the software. It is more to cultivate the passion and the commitment from all the employees about the change journey, about the strategic direction that they want to pursue and they want to achieve. So that will be a simple framework I put together as my first draft of OD framework. Now, if you look back, if you look into a lot of the OD theories, and it looks similar, or maybe it's a bit more simple than a lot of the comprehensive OD models, but it works in my job 7 years ago. So ever since that, from that framework, I then start to work on projects, OD projects or OD initiatives that include review the organization effectiveness in Asia Pacific, and also facilitate change management in implement the new structure, coping with the new business model and the new business processes. We also had a chance to implement the HR 3-legged model, the HR Business Partner Center of Excellence and HR Shared Service model in Asia Pacific. And I was the champion into leading and implementing this in the region. And then there was also projects or initiatives, including how do we instill learning culture and build a learning organization, and how do we engage people's mind, engage people's heart by using engagement survey and action planning from the survey result. And there was also time I designed the Asia Pacific Leadership Program to help the organization to enhance their strategy planning capability, and also acted as an action learning coach for the organization to incubate business innovation ideas. And there was also time to work with the business leaders, the general managers and the CEOs for work out their 3 years business strategies. And from here, you may see that the examples I show, some are more HR oriented, like organization, culture, right? That's how we usually perceive this. And some are more business oriented, like business innovation, business strategies. So, and I cover both sides. And then the question is that, am I doing an OD job or am I doing an HR job? And am I doing a business job? There were times that in my role that I partner a lot with the country HR directors to first plan and facilitate and implement those changes. And there are also times I work directly with the business presidents and the CEOs and the general managers to facilitate the strategy discussion, the strategy workshop, and also to coach the business innovation teams, incubation teams. So I felt like, well, now when I look back, I felt like that I was dancing between OD, HR, and the business disciplines. And it's an interesting finding. And the boundary of each of these disciplines become less when I was in that OD role 7 years ago. And this gave me another opportunity to reflect not only my 25 years of working experience, and in the recent 2 years, I got the opportunity to spend more time get into a more in-depth study about what OD is about and what OD can create value to the organization. And you can see that there's a lot of the books that describe many different theories, and that gives a very comprehensive overview about what is the philosophies of OD, what is the methodologies, and then interestingly, then I start to realize that OD can be applied at different levels. There could be individual level intervention, team level intervention, and also the organization level of intervention. Then among all these theories, it gave a very good overview and foundations. But the more I read, the more I start to get not confused again, but then you get to rethink again. Okay, what is the relationship between HR and OD? And how can OD create more value to HR and to the business? And reflecting my experience, there was the time when I'm dancing across these disciplines. So is there an opportunity, all these three, the OD, HR, and the business, can be migrated? So that started the questions in my mind. And among all the theories, and I just want to introduce one, and this one provides a framework that the relationship between HR management and OD. And it talks about HR management is only one part of the overall OD interventions. And if you look into more specifically, the HR management, which is on the right down side of the corner, which is very much about the performance management processes, the talent development or the people development programs or trainings or interventions, and also there will be some like diversity or employee wellness programs, which is more HR familiar languages, right? So this is only one part of it. In the theory that provided by Cummings and Worley, that OD intervention also have human process interventions that's more oriented to interpersonal relationship and also process facilitation at small size of meetings, small size of team, but also large group interventions as well. And then there are structural interventions that would be more looking into the intervention from the technology, applying technology, and also encouraging employee involvement in the process to create changes. And last but not the least is the strategic change intervention. And I would classify this aspect of the intervention maybe more oriented to the business change and to the business strategy change. And because of the strategy change, there are obviously the following organization change as a whole system change, right? While among all these four, I would say the strategic change intervention category links to the external world most. The other three could be more or less internal as an enabler or supporter to achieve the strategic change interventions. Well, of course, not every HR work is doing strategic thing. I mean, when we say strategic change, that could be like a big change, big strategies, right? There could be also daily job that HR is doing. So even though human resource management intervention is only one aspect of the pie, but if the HR professional like me, when we look into this whole pie, we can more or less relate to that. We are doing some of this and some of that and some of that. So it's a little bit of everything. And again, that is what everything put together as the overall OD intervention that we can help the organization. So that was one side of the coin, that if you look into OD and HR relationship from an OD perspective, that HR management is part of the bigger OD intervention. Then you may argue that, hey, how HR shall transform into OD, right? Because you transform yourself into a bigger landscape or a bigger role. But if we flip through the coin, if you look into HR and OD relationship more from a HR perspective, and David Urich is the great HR master in the world, and his extensive research and roles and thought leadership has influenced significantly how HR professionals in China grow ourselves, develop our own capability, and develop our function and HR discipline. So if you look into David Urich's model, then this one was 1996 from his book. I remember that was the second year when I graduated from university, and I work in the multinational company as an HR in my second year. So that was the first time when I look into this model, but it is still quite inspiring nowadays when I look back into it again. And you can see that David Urich explained that change agent is part of the strategic HR role, together with the strategic partner, employee champion, and administrative expert or functional expert. So if you try change and OD together, and usually we describe an OD consultant as a change agent, right? We use that word a lot. So if you look into this map, does that mean the relationship between HR and OD is OD is part of the overall HR management? So that is something we can look into the other side of the coin, right? So, and David Urich also described the HR three-leg model, where, and I think there's a lot of the companies in China have implemented or in the journey of implementing this model. And basically it described that the HR business partner of the organization will be dedicated to support a certain business unit or a certain business department, and understand in depth the business needs, and then translate that business needs and bring back a total HR solutions to address specific business requirements. And in partner with the HR business partner is the HR Center of Excellence, where we'll provide the design and the planning. And in this context, if we're talking about OD, then ideally each company would have an OD Center of Excellence, like they would have a CMB, compensation benefits COE, or they may have a leadership training COE, etc. So ideally, company should have an OD COE that will partner with the HR business partner and enable the HR business partner to provide all the necessary support to the business. And then, of course, obviously, there's shared service center with running the standardized processes more efficiently to support the group. So, and then the HR leadership team is more connecting the dots of all of these three legs, and becomes the center or the hub, and then provide the overall turnkey HR solution, I would say, to the entire organization or the entire business. The model looks perfect. However, in reality, there is extremely challenging in performing in executing this model in excellence on the ground. Luckily, I got the opportunity to experience each of these four roles: the HR business partner, the COE, the managing a shared service center, and also the HR leadership role. So none of this role is easy. and connecting all of them together is even more difficult. In reality, when the HR three legs model implemented in China, there are key challenges that the HR business partner is facing. Basically, the HR business partner is too much occupied in the daily work, and therefore they don't have time to understand the business needs. And they are not capable enough to deliver what they are expected to do, to deliver this HR three-leg structure design. And there's also a lack of clarity in what is the expectation of their job. Sounds familiar, right? It was like 7 years ago, there was not a job description in my AODN change director role, and then I have to create my own job description. Well, if you see it as an opportunity, then this would be the time you can empower yourself and to empower the organization. But anyway, come back to this is that there's key challenges for HRBP to be able to work effectively. So ideally, if HRBP is not capable enough, the three-leg HR structure would be that the Center of Excellence COE should then be able to enable, empower, coach, change, coach, train, and then partner with the HR business partner to deliver the HR solution, right? But in reality, that luxury does not exist in China. A recent research that we did for the China OD practice research, it shows that 70%, which is majority, right? It's almost majority of the companies in China, they do not have dedicated OD department, and nor they have a specific dedicated headcount or people to do full-time OD roles internally. So which means that most of the job, in fact, that should be done by an OD Center of Excellence, in fact, is done by the HR head, the HR leadership, or the HR directors. So, but the HR directors is also facing the similar challenges as a HR business partner. The HR director or the HR leader do not have sufficient time. He or she is also heavily occupied in running the entire HR operation. And he or she may also need help to understand better how they can do a better job in providing more strategic support to the business. So to address this issue, and this is a very common challenge in China, many companies facing that. To address this issue, we say that instead of arguing for the company to introduce additional headcount to create an OD department, which you know how difficult it could be during the budget constraint, then we think we should increase the OD competence of the HR business partner, so that we can equip them with the sufficient tools and the knowledges and the tools and the processes about the OD, and therefore they can apply those techniques and apply those processes or facilitate those processes in their daily job. So instead of creating a specific OD role in China, which is some companies are doing that, but the majority or many of the companies do not have that luxury of doing that. The majority of the companies in China should be thinking, how do we equip the OD competence to their HR professional or to their existing HR teams? So while when doing this, I mean, not everyone had the luxury to read through all the books that I have read in the last 2 years and the research that I have done in the last 2 years. People are just too busy. So therefore, instead of we teaching people or training people of what OD should be, we change the perspective. We use a co-creation approach, which is one of the OD philosophy. We use a co-creation approach by asking people what do they need. So we did a survey basically with all our HR professional network with China OD network, and then we asked them which HR working scenarios pose the biggest challenges to them that they would need most support. Instead of we tell them what OD techniques or OD theory you need or what HR tools you need, we didn't constrain ourselves into using the word OD or HR. We don't ask people to choose between the discipline, but we just ask them, what is the biggest challenges in your most, common working scenarios, and what area do you need support? And from that research or that survey, and then we prioritize that there are 4 working scenarios that most of the HR business partner in China, the HR professional who's doing an HR business partner role in China, that they would need help most. The first one is that how HR can provide feedback and coaching to the business manager that they support. Difficult, right? Because the business manager sometimes would perceive themselves more superior than the HR business partner. But how do we, what kinds of intervention can apply at this individual level? So we pick and choose particular OD tools and processes like individual assessment tools, feedback and coaching techniques, active inquiry from process consultation, and also grow career coaching model, etc. So this is a very practical tools and process to help the HR business partner to be able to better influence and coach the business manager that they support. The second working scenario is how HR facilitate team building. This could be a team like a management team of the business unit that the HR businesses support. It could be also a project team that HR will support, or it could be a smaller department, which is at the team level. Then the OD tools and process we pick, it's a little bit more like look into the IPO, the input, output, and the processes. Look into how we can design the individual job with alignment with the team goal. And there's also psychological type of assessment tool that can apply for team communication, team effectiveness evaluation tools and processes, and also crucial conversation tools, how to help the team to solve team conflict. And last but not the least, even the 4D model from appreciation inquiry, especially when they form a team, and how they co-create a vision of the team, and also how they discover the strength of each of the team members. So this, again, this is very practical tools that we provide to the HR professionals to address their needs. The last but not the least is how HR improve organization effectiveness and how they facilitate goal alignment and change management to implement the business strategies. This is more interventions at the organizational level. So we provide the training to the HR business partner. How can they facilitate change with the whole system view? We give them changes model. We give them organization diagnosis, STAR model, 6-box model, and many of you, if you're familiar with OD, you know those are the very classical organization diagnosis tools and models. And again, active inquiry from process consultation, and also appreciative inquiry to co-create the vision and the strategies, key stakeholders analysis for change management, and then how do we measure change success with the business scorecard. Therefore, we look into change success not just by checking the box that we have done this, and also not just counting how many heads we have cut or how many costs we have saved, but also how many innovations we generate, how many new growth prospect we can create, and how is the learning agility of the organization improve, and how is the customer engagement with the organization, and all that kind of change measurement that we can provide to the organization when they initiate a change initiative. So with all of this, that the pick and choose approach is again showing that the integration of OD and HR. And as you can see here, some of the processes maybe you may say, oh, that is the HR thing, right? But some of it maybe, this is a new OD thing. But if we put aside, how do we classify them as HR and OD? And if we look into what are the needs from the HR professional and supporting them to do an excellent job in performing a strategic HR role, and that is how we can embed all the different OD tools and processes to help them. instead of pushing them many books, read through it and figure out how to do it by yourself. So by doing this, we are helping companies in China, HR professionals in China, to increase their OD competence. So, which is a different mindset about creating an OD role or OD department in the organization. Well, if there's a luxury to do that, feel free to go for it. But if there's not a luxury to increase a dedicated OD department or dedicated OD role, we can always helping the HR professionals increase the strategic capability by incorporating the OD knowledge and the OD processes and tools. So, looking ahead, apart from what HR can become a better HR in performing our role to support the business, if we look into how HR would evolve, again, I use the word HR here because I carry still carry the head of like HR professionals in China, right? So if you look into it broadly, so don't hang up with either it's OD evolution or HR evolution. So, but if you temporarily use the word Dave Urich used is the HR evolution. And there's 4 waves that in China, basically in China, many of the companies now in wave 2 and wave 3, which is more deploying the HR practices to support a business and or aligning the HR strategies to also support a business for partnership. Well, I would say that we should be stepping one step forward is moving to wave 4 in the coming future. It is this what we call HR outside in. The focus should be enable, how HR can enable the business success. So it's beyond control, support, align, but we take a more proactive role in enabling. So if I come back to David Urich's 9 HR competence for future, you can look into it. I mean, not all of them are really new to me. And in fact, this is a book he published 2 years ago. Not every new competence are new to me. I mean, many of them you may say, okay, I know it and I understand it. But there is one competence, one role, it calls strategic positioner. That is something really reflecting the 4th way of HR future. It is the HR outside in. What does it mean? It means that HR shall have the capability to enable the business to win in its market. So it's in the market. And from looking into the market about the changing customer demand, the market competition landscape, the disruptive changes from technologies or from new business models, all what is happening in the market. In the past, HR did not pay too much attention to it. We were more internal focused. We are waiting the business to tell us what is the business strategy, and therefore we will align the business strategy into the HR strategy and then follow up to support the business achieve its objective. It looks like, I'm not so sure if I am losing the connection. Can you hear me? Or can you still see my screen? Suddenly my screen pops up.
Yes, Ms. Ma, you are fine. It's self-optimizing, so you can move forward.
Okay, good to know that I'm fine, because I'm not so sure if suddenly my screen pops up. So how can I get back to my slide? Because I see my screen now. So
go ahead and click on your slide deck, and then it should move and advance forward.
Okay, I'm coming back. Thanks, Sonny. Thank you. So when you look into all this external, what's happening in the market, this is a mist from many of HR professionals. And now we should raise our head and look for it, look ahead. And also then looking into the external, we also understand, okay, what can we formulate a corporate strategy beyond the vision, and also to choose what is the playing field, what is the competitive strategy to differentiate ourselves versus the competitor, and what is the best business model that we shall come up with the customer value proposition and design the products and the services, and how can we make money from it. This is very, very much business language that we should use. And I recall in the morning, there were some participants kept asking the William, what HR or what OD can do in business strategy. I personally firmly believe there is a lot HR and OD can facilitate a lot more here to enable the business strategies. Yeah, so let me continue. So by understanding that external business market dynamic, and also the corporate strategy and what a strategy means, what a business strategy means, and therefore we can formulate the HR strategy to enable the business winning. So the HR strategy, in my point of view, and if I look back to my past 25 years experience, if I also look ahead into the future needs of the business and the market and the organizations, I see HR should focus on 3 strategies. One, it's winning in talent competition, which is traditionally it is HR job, right? We recruit people, we retain people, and we develop people. And mostly we should make sure that we keep the talent that we need in the organization and attract the best talent to join us. And this is still important, but how do we win with the continuous talent competition that is applying employee value proposition and designing the HR policies and programs and the employees' experiences so that we can win in the talent competition. The second strategy is to enable the business innovation. And we always talk about the business need to be innovated because there is change, especially the disruptive change from not just from your competitor, direct competitor nowadays in the market, but also from people who are not in your same industry, because of they are doing disruptive changes, either because of technology change or because they design a new business model. Your non-traditional competitors would come across to take over your market suddenly. So the only thing to help the business is to keep constant business innovation. So we need to enable that happen. Last but not the least is to build the organization change agility. We say that the only thing that do not change is change. And changing becomes so constant and in the VUCA world and becomes so rapid. So the organization strength in the past may no longer be a strength in the future. So what we need to keep is the organization constantly to learn and change ourselves, and that is the change agility that the HR human resources strategy need to focus on. And with the foundation, and that is where the traditional, or not, I'm not willing to say traditional, right? Because that is where it's a more HR management. It's a foundation to carry out the daily work. But HR should always focus on the strategy when at the same time when we managing the foundations. And I like the yin and yang description by William this morning to describe what is the HR management work. There is something work, it is more compliance oriented, operational oriented, but they are important. And there is some kind of work, it's more innovative related, creativity related, engagement related, and both are, I mean, all are important aspects of the HR work. And it's a matter of where are your strategic focus. And for companies in China, I would definitely say the strategic focus should be at the yang side. Although the yin side is still important, but we should still have a strategic focus to keep winning in talent competition, enabling business innovation, and building change agility. Well, I won't have time to go through all of this. I'll just use one example to explain what HR and OD can do specifically to enable business innovation. And I hope that that can provide you some reference you may consider to implement in your organization as well. A recent research this is a research I explained just now, we recently do, and the initial data shows that when we ask the organization, what do they do to enable business innovation? Close to 60% of the companies reply that they are using cross-department teams to cultivate innovations. In fact, this is the highest number among all the other options. The second options are coming to only about 20–30%. So which means there is a significant big portion of the companies is using this. But if you just pull together a cross-department team and let them run their innovation, can you guess the result? I mean, most of the time they would fail because it's so difficult to work with the team, and let alone to bring up the innovative business ideas, right? So, and there is, from these challenges, it poses significant opportunities that for HR and OD can do more to create value to the organization. So we can put into some guidance and support to help the team success. And the innovation incubation team, we could have set up a sponsor role, which is provide project steering, budget, and decide on go or no go decision investment about the proposal. And usually the sponsor comes from the CEO or the general managers of the organization, senior enough to steer the project direction. And ideally, you could have a business coach who may be coming from the business department, who can provide more business context about the projects that people are working on. And they also provide business planning tools to facilitate people to discuss their proposal. And then helping the project team to connect with the external customers if there's a need to do that. And I would strongly recommend that project team should reach out to the external customers when they work on the innovation incubation. And then you can also arrange a team coach. This is where usually an HR or an OD person, or sometimes a training person in the organization, depends on where they sit in the HR organization. So usually that is where we HR professional or OD professional or training professionals can help create most of the value. That is to help facilitate the team onboarding and help the team establish and help the team moving across their team development stages, and also coach the team to enhance their team effectiveness, and also coach the individual team member on their personal development. So we can pull together some structured and provide more guidance and support to this innovation incubation team, so that enhance their success for the business and also enhance their personal development in this journey. And usually innovation incubation team lasts for 3 months to 6 months. It does not last for too long. While there are some companies using permanent teams to do this, which is a minor portion, a percentage of the companies in China, because of the headcount constraint, right, the budget constraint. And most of the company, many of the company using temporary project teams, and which they do not create extra headcount. They use existing people in the organization to carry out a project to incubate innovations. So which is a very practical and cost-effective way, and to stress the organization, but also to try to bring up new innovations. Then what HR, or what is the business coach or the HR coach can do to facilitate and coach this innovation incubation team? I put together a processes based on my past experience coaching more than 20 innovation incubation teams in different markets. And I will show one recent example with one recent team that I'm coaching to explain these processes. So first of all, the HR and OD or OD should initiate the project scoping with your sponsor, with your CEO, or with your general managers or your presidents, right? The project scoping, including identify why we do this, what's the process, what is the goal of the project, what is expected deliverables, what is the timeline, and let's say 3 months to 6 months. My experience, 3 months, it's the best, because that is where, if people are doing double head jobs, 3 months it's the time they stretch themselves and they don't feel too tired. 6 months becomes people's energy could derail, because if they continue to be stressed to do double head jobs, then that is a bit tough. But it is still manageable. So, and I also see project doing a year. A year would be too much, I would say. So anything between 3 months to 6 months would be a good timeline. And the budget, of course, that the team may need some budget to do experiment. So what could be the budget can be allocated to the team. So this is where, when we initiate an innovation incubation team project, that this is the project scoping should confirm with the sponsor. Then we should select the team to form the team. Usually the team size is like we say, best team size is 6 to 8 people. Sometimes we can stretch to 10 people or even 12 people. But if it's 10 people, then you may need to do a divide and conquer approach to further split the group into different tasking, because smaller group, it's more agile to move and effective to work together. The team selection should choose diverse backgrounds. So ideally, an innovation project should increase cross-function. The beauty of cross-function is that you bring into external market perspective, internal organization perspective, and you let the diversity to brainstorm, and you let the beauty of diversity to flourish. And then you have the input from the internal functions when the new idea, what would happen when the new idea to be implemented, and then you get more ownership and a champion to implement the changes in the future. So that's the beauty of setting up a team with diverse backgrounds. And the top-down or bottom-up approach you can choose. One is that you could invite volunteers. So you send up an open invitation, and then you invite people to join. And then, or the other way is you do a top-down approach. You tie it with a talent management or succession planning process, and then you pick and choose your high potential people to form the team. So there are pros and cons of different approaches, but you can try either way. So in the recent project I coach is that we form a team of 10 people from very diverse backgrounds, and they are more forming as a volunteer. So they volunteer to join the project. And the purpose of the project is to enable the organization for sustainable growth with an innovation business model and strategies. And the deliverable is to deliver the business model, this product design, prototype of a product design, and also a roadmap of a 3 years change journey. And the timeline of the project is 6 months. And we give a minimum budget for them to run the project. And as I explained just now, in this case, that this example, we invite volunteers to join this project. Well, I do have experience previously where the project team was carefully picked and selected by the HR and the senior management when they look into the talent review and pick and choose the high potentials to join the team. So either way can work. So then the next step is that we will onboard the project team. When we onboard the project team, there's a couple OD tools can apply. For example, appreciate inquiry. We can use appreciate inquiry to facilitate the team to dream about their vision, dream about their goals, and also discover their individual strengths and how they contribute to form the team. And then there are tools like a team charter, how they discuss how they would like to work together, how they would like to solve conflict, how they would like to managing meetings. So they would discuss a team charter, and a project charter, which is to look into what is the business goal, what is the project plan, which is more the business side of the project, as a project charter would guide. And the team charter is more the people side and the interpersonal side of the project that the team charter would guide. So both should work hand in hand. Usually when we work in companies, project charter or project plan is always there. And we usually forgot the team charter because people are just so eager to jump into doing the project by themselves without thinking about or planning ahead how they would like to work together, which is important from the OD perspective as well. And then you could also decide the team structure. It could be a self-management team. You let the team to volunteer and decide who are the team leader. And then you let the team to decide if they're going to have divide and conquer approach. How do they want to split themselves on different tasks, and how do they want to reconnect? The importance of a self-management team is that you need to have a team leader. That's my experience. You may argue that self-management team, they don't need to be led. Yes, they don't need to be led by you as a team coach, but the team need to have a leader. Otherwise, the team would not be efficient in running their projects. So, but the leader should come from them. So they should discuss who shall be their leader, and sometimes could be co-leaders as well. Yeah. So then, after onboarding the team, we will send the team to start on the business side of the project, which is discover insight. Therefore, that is where you can apply customer immersion, customer interview, customer survey, or they can also do market research to understand who are the market players, who are their competitors, and what they do in the market. So again, this part will be a little bit more business oriented, but it's not rocket science. In the project I coach, that the project team would reach out to the customer and just talk about it, and talk about what is the pain point in the customer, observe what is the customer doing, and they also wear the customer hat, and that is what we say the empathy, right? So you immerse yourself as the customer. If you are also the one using the product or the services on daily basis, then you can also put yourself as a customer, and what you need will be the customer needs. So at the beginning, the team was a little bit skeptical whether they are able to do this, because they're not well-trained market researchers. But after they get used to the processes, and I give them like 2 hours of briefing what they can do, and they also now, and then they experience that, and they a lot of things they can find out, which is interesting. And they can also do web search to understand the market dynamic, what are the competitors are doing, what do they provide, right? So there's a lot of things that they can do to discover the insight. The next step, they come back, and based on the insight they discover, they do a brainstorming session to ideate what could be the ideas and opportunities that to address the customer needs that they find from the insight part. And here there's many ideation tools that you can use, brainstorming tools and team decision-making processes, which is a traditional OD methodologies. And here I would stress, emphasize that it's important to provide a little bit business content related tools. Here I strongly recommend Blue Ocean strategy planning tools. It's not rocket science. You can get yourself familiar with it easily. The part is not we, as Matt said earlier this morning, as an OD or HR team coach, we are not the one telling the organization or the team what is the right answer, but you need to give them guidance. You need to give them tools. If you ask them to just brainstorm without a tools, that they will be less effective. So there's a lot of tools from the Blue Ocean strategy planning tools that you can pick and choose to help people really think out of the box and create their own blue ocean. Then we can further apply the lean startup approach with the project by helping the team to understand what is the business model canvas, component of the business model canvas, and define what are the hypotheses of the new business model that they design, and construct rapid prototyping to test their assumptions in the market and measure and learn, and then revise their hypothesis and continue the testing. So this lean startup can run a couple rounds, and depends on your project length, and also depends on the complexity of your project. So and also the budget that you have for the project team, so you can decide it to a certain time when you how long and how many rounds of the testing that you would do. So ideally, I would suggest that at least do 2 rounds. So therefore, you can really validate your assumption of your hypothesis when you design the business model canvas. And there's a lot of the rapid prototyping tools and techniques that people can apply. The good thing is that using a rapid prototyping approach is that the company do not need to invest a lot before they are really comfortable that they have minimum viable products that they can provide it to their customer. And during this journey, I mean, the discover insight, ideation, and lean startup approaches is more the business-oriented part of the project. At the same time, we shouldn't forget about the team part of the project, which is to integrate the team, helping the team to move quickly from forming, storming, norming to performing. And there's a lot of things that we can do in the project I coached recently, that we facilitate the team to do an MBTI self-assessment, and then they share with each other their working style, and then therefore they get a better understanding how to work effectively together. We also did a project midterm team effectiveness survey, and we asked each team members to give anonymous feedback, how they feel about the team effectiveness, and the consolidated result that the coach will report it back to the team and facilitate the team to discuss that result and discuss what is the action plan to improve the team effectiveness, together with the individual coaching for the personal development. And the project I coach has been running virtually. That is the biggest challenge. We run using teleconference and video conference to run the project. So we try to create a face-to-face meeting opportunities, but for this project, we were not able to make it because of the situation of the crisis. But in reality, if you have the time, I would suggest to at least have 2 face-to-face meetings. One is on the kickoff, the other one is on the midterm, the last one is on the final when they wrap up the project. So 3 face-to-face meetings would be the best. If not, then we have to utilize the online technology or video conferencing to do it. In the last step, that the team need to, based on the learning, their ideation, their testing, and then they need to summarize the project and make up a presentation to the sponsor. What is the proposal for the new business innovation? And therefore, the sponsor need to make a decision. They would invest or not. Ideally, if this kind of process, I mean, you will have a couple teams running together at the same time, then the team could compete. So you may have 2 to 4 teams, they running at the same time. The 2 to 4 teams could choose to run on different ideation, innovation ideas. So, and then at the end, you have all the teams coming together to present to the sponsor, and then the sponsor may decide to choose which team's ideas to invest. So you create a little bit of a competition atmosphere among teams, so that it's also fun as well. Last but not the least, when the business projects wrap up, it's also important that as a team coach to facilitate the team to reflect the learning. What is the learning about the business? And what is the learning about the personal leadership and how they work as a team? And also ask them to plan how they apply this learning back to their real life. You can see that in this processes chart, there is something it's written in black and some written in green, and there's green and black color. The thing I use different color is that the green color codes that it's more HR familiar area, or HR and OD can more oriented to do. And the black area, it's more a business area where usually HR try to leave it to the business partner to do it, or leave it to a business coach to do it. My point is that, in fact, you can combine the two. And I have the experience and that when the two is combined, therefore, you can help the team to move faster. But it's also okay to separate the team coach and the business coach, so that you have more focus on respectively. One is more on the business tools, the other one is on the people tools or the people processes. Well, in summary, when you're trying to integrate all of this on the people processes, therefore you can see that you can apply OD tools to drive the people moving across the team development stages. You can apply a pre-share inquiry. You can apply the tools of team charter, project charter, team effectiveness feedback, coaching, individual coaching, and team coaching as well. So these are more the traditional or the more usual HR and OD tools that we can drive innovation. What I want to add is that to add on that, you can also consider to integrate the OD tools from the business side, which is where the planning tools and the lean startup tools and the business model tools and also the exponential transformation tools. You may say, hey, I'm not a business person. How can I step into the business area? My point is that you don't need to be a business person and you don't need to be an expert to be a business, because we are not providing the answer of what a strategy should be. You are providing a tool. A tool of a blue ocean strategy could be similar to a tool of asking 5 whys, right? We're all familiar with asking 5 whys to help people to further deep down the cause root of the problem before they come up with a solution. So treat the blue ocean strategy planning tools as similar like that. In fact, it's not that complex. And I tried this, and I also try to apply it using it in my organization, and it works. And when you find it, when you apply it by yourself, it works, and it gives you more confidence to apply it with the team. And again, when we apply these tools, we're still making ourselves as a facilitator, because we are not telling them what to do. We're just giving them some tools. It's just the tools is beyond just the usual OD or the people side of the tools, but also we can use the business side of the OD tools as well. So this is just an example of what specifically HR or OD can do to help to cultivate or enable business innovations. In fact, that we are wrapping up the China OD practice research report, and some of the data or the findings I presented today is the initial findings from the research. And we expect to finalize the report in January and launch it. So if you are interested to know more how HR can enable strategic innovation and transformation, what HR can do specifically to enable business success, welcome to scan the QR code here or reach out to contact the email here and register that you would like to get the report and you want to get the debrief of the report. And the report is for free. We are doing this as a volunteer project to return to the society. Okay, in summary, the first sentence I would like to share, this is again from David Urich, and you can see that I'm a big fan for him. And he says that HR is not about HR. HR begins and ends with the business. And today, I would like to summarize my presentation building on this. OD is not about OD. OD is embedded in HR and the business. Thank you. Now, let me see if there's any questions that I can help answer. Thank you very much. Hello, I hope I'm still.
Yes, you're still there.
On. Okay, yeah. The challenge of is that when you're talking to the screen without seeing anyone, and yeah. Okay, so
Ms. Ma, as we wait for some questions, I have one for you. As you mentioned that about 70% of Chinese companies or organizations have no OD functions. What would you say are the main reasons for this, and what can be done to change it?
Well, the reason could be, first of all, OD, it's new. I mean, it's new to China in recent years. It's only introduced to China in recent years. So it was not like a well-established concept. In my personal experience, I share, right? In my first 18 years of experience, I didn't know OD at all, although I'm doing it a lot. So I think that was one of the reasons. People just, you don't know what you don't know. And even though you are doing it, and you don't know that's called OD. And secondly, and once people realize it and realize the importance of it, and there is a challenge about the budget constraint, when creating new departments and new headcounts, and the business leader may challenge you, how can you prove the OD department, dedicated OD department will bring value to the organization? So that could be another reason. Therefore, I would say the 70% without dedicated OD department or dedicated OD roles is the current status. How to change it? I am not in the camp to say that we must change it to create a dedicated OD department. That would be nice to have. I'm not against it. That would be nice to have. But in view of the business challenges or the business schedule constraint, and that's the reality we have to face, and we also need to share the same pain with the business leaders. I would rather shift the focus to enhance or help to increase the OD competence and the OD knowledge of the HR professionals instead of creating a dedicated department. If you can create the dedicated department, that would be great. If you cannot do that, you not just wait, right? You still do things to increase the existing HR professionals' OD capability to carry out a strategic HR management job. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ma. We have another question. What could be done when teams get slowed down with respect to their projects? Different teams also operate at different speeds. Biggest challenge when teams lose motivation. How can we address those issues as an external consultant?
That's a great question. It happened to both external consultant or in-house consultant as well. And it's natural that the team's passion will be high at the beginning when they start, but then especially when the team is working part-time, or when we say part-time, so the double heading, they still have the daily job, and then they carry on this innovation teams like a part-time job. So the workload would kill them, would kill the energy over time. So it's important to constantly encourage the team to refresh themselves and recharge. And to me, my experience, there are a couple of things we can help address that. The first one, it's extremely important at the beginning when we onboard the team, spend sufficient time for the team to discuss their mission, why they joined the team, and what do they expect to get out of the team. Not just for the business, but also personally, what do they want to get out of this experience? And don't jump to do the project immediately. I mean, many of the team would immediately jump to start the business part of the project. Don't jump too fast. Spend time, sufficient time, and properly, so that people talk about their vision and their mission, and also the why, right? Why am I doing this? What kind of value created for myself? Not just for the business innovation, but also what do I expect to get from this? So that is one thing. This is the inspiration. That is more a self-driven inspiration, and you need to encourage people to driven themselves from that mission purpose for themselves and for the company. The second thing is that I provide constant new learning. So to many of, like the recent team, many of them, they did not know how to do customer research. They do not know how to do customer interviews. They maybe know very less about blue ocean strategy. They may know little about what is the business model canvas. So to them, when they work on this, they find, there's something new. So the new thing and the new learning can constantly make them feel inspired, engaged, and also exciting in the journey. So that is the second approach. The third approach is that the one-on-one coaching, because as a coach, I can observe people's participation level and how do they change before and after. So in that one-on-one coaching, we can provide the feedback and also encourage and do some more encouragement during the one-on-one coaching. That could be the things. The last but not the least, as a team coach, when I observe the team's energy is down, then I need to reflect this back to the team. And I tell them, hey, team, I see this. I know you're experiencing tremendous workload. So how do you want to proceed? Let the team discuss and decide. Because I cannot push them by myself, right? If I push them, I'm not a team coach. I'm a team member, or I am a team leader. I'm not a team leader. I'm a coach. So I'm a coach and a facilitator. So I can just, okay, how do you want to decide? Then therefore let the team to reflect, and they may say, yeah, we may want to skip some of this, but we still want to proceed that because it's important. Or they may want to change the scope of the project, or they may want to renegotiate with the project sponsor to get extended deadline. Whatever. I mean, there are many ways you can solve the problem, right? The beauty as a team coach is that you reflect to them, which they don't see it, they may not feel it. They feel the pain, but they may not realize that they are slowing down. So, but then I give them the chance and let them decide and facilitate them to decide how they want to proceed. And once they make a decision, and they will be very committed to proceed that new decision on the team progress. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Ma. I think we need to slowly wrap up as it's 17 past the hour, but I have one more comment and two questions, and maybe you can try to answer them concisely. And the comment is from Roland Sullivan saying, this is an excellent presentation. May we please have the slides? And I think other people asked for the same. So please kindly share those. And then there's a question from Myanmar saying, in the NGO field, many people assume OD is more focused on organization strategy and sustainability, and HR is part of this. But in your presentation, OD is embedded in HR and the business. Could you please elaborate more? So that was the first question. And the other question, which comes from China, I think, if the OD position is carried out, what other HR positions are required to support in the enterprise, and what is the daily work of this OD position? Thank you for your answers.
Okay, so two big questions I try to answer quickly because of the time constraint. The Myanmar question for NGOs. So NGOs or non-profit organizations may have a different mission than a commercial organization, which I'm running the China OD network. It's a non-profit organization, and I used to work in commercial, so I can realize there's different focus sometimes. But for NGO, it's organization itself. So there's a lot of the OD techniques can still apply, how you form the organization. But for NGO, you may see a challenges is that you have either smaller team for your own employees, you may have a bigger virtual, you have members, right? But the members are not your employees. But that comes to, it's like you have an extended organization, and how you engage your organization members, and how you engage them, and how you utilize their strengths. So for example, the project I shared just now is that it's for our China OD network organization. So it's from our members. So they all work for the project voluntarily. So and they cultivate the passion for the organization. So that is something you could try. And the alignment of the passion and the mission of the organization with the individual passion and mission is very important. Yeah, hope that helps on the Myanmar question. On the China question, once an OD, if there is an OD role, specific role is established, what that person should do. It was similar like what I did 7 years ago. That was the OD role I headed in the organization for ASIAPAC region. The person would need to partner with both the business and the HR. So on one hand, the OD person can partner with the CEO or the general managers to really understand the business needs and working with the business. And in fact, there are about, although only 30% of the company responded they have dedicated OD department in China, but about half of them, the OD department report to the business. Half of them report to the HR. Interesting, right? So which means OD has an opportunity to get even more closer to the business directly. And so feel free to do that. And I would strongly encourage you to do that. So you don't need to go through the HR side and then connect to the business. You can connect to the business directly, but at the same time, you got to make sure you keep your HR partner updated and engaged. You don't want your HR partner feel that you bypass them and doing things behind them. So that's the true partnership between OD, and that's why I say it's embedded. OD is embedded in with HR and business together. Yeah, and also OD roles, then you have more time to look into initiate a new change initiative, because HR business partner usually are very occupied. there's a lot of daily operation, no matter how much you call it, but there's operation HR business partner. So HR business partner may give you some idea. Hey, we need this, we need that. Sometimes they may just give you a complaint. Okay, the business complained this, but how do you translate from a complaint into a needs, and then from initiate a change initiative? So if you are an OD Center of Excellence person, you can really look into cultivate those opportunities and make it as a change opportunities to help the organization to continue enhance the change agility. Yeah, that would be my short answer. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Ma, and thank you very much for your excellent presentation, very insightful and at the same time very practical, so it gives us a lot to work with. And yeah, please share the presentation, and then everybody, I know that in about 8 minutes we'll start with the breakout, so please go take maybe very quickly 5 minutes to grab some tea or a drink or anything, and then be ready to choose one of the 4 tracks on either exploring the dynamics of change, transforming organizations in Asia, creating a new OD and expanding learning in Asia, and last but not least, developing leadership in Asia. Thank you very much. See you guys there. Bye.
Thank you. See you later. Bye. Bye-bye.